a battle. Because Prime Minister Narendra Modi, leading the BJP and the NDA this time, has set an extremely stiff, ambitious target of 400 par for the NDA, 370 plus for the BJP alone. Now, there's only one time in Indian electoral history that this was achieved. And when Rajiv Gandhi achieved this, it was a different era of Indian politics, and the circumstances were also quite unique. Can the BJP and the NDA manage that this time around? Is it going to be a virtual no contest if they are to achieve this target? We're going to look at that and more over the next half hour. Let me introduce the panelists joining us today, and a big thanks to all of them at the very start for making time. Starting from the left, Shehzad Poonawalla, national spokesperson of the BJP, is joining us. Sitting next to him is managing editor, Money Control, and a noted author, Nalin Mehta. On the other side is Shama Mohammed, national spokesperson of the Congress Party. And next to her is Sanjay Kumar, psephologist, co-director, Lokniti, CSDS. I do thank you all for joining us. Shehzad, let me begin with you. Is this a way to psych the opposition to say 400 par? And, the BJP is very good at these kind of sloganeering. They kind of, create these pitch battles. I remember, for example, Delhi elections. There was this whole hawa created that the BJP is going to do really well this time. I remember Bengal. There was a target that was much, much more ambitious than what the BJP ultimately achieved. It almost sounded like they lost in Bengal because of the high target they set for themselves. So what is the reasoning behind 400 par? Why would you even go ahead and do and say something like this?
Thank you so much to Network 18, especially for this Rising Bharat Conclave and giving us the platform. Shivani, first of all, I'm on your left, but when the audiences watch me, they'll see me on their right. And that's where the country is headed, to the right direction. And that's why we are confident. The reason is that, look, what has been inculcated in the political narrative of this country over the last 10 years, and Sanjay ji and Nalin ji will tell you that prior to 2014, Nalin and Sanjay never used the term pro-incumbency as often as they use it now. And they do it for good purpose, because after 18 years of incumbency in Madhya Pradesh, we repeat a government based on our performance. In Uttar Pradesh, after 37 years, a government is repeated on the basis of our performance. In Uttarakhand, where the government has never been repeated, has been repeated basis of our performance. Gujarat, 27 years, government is repeated basis of our performance. 2014, we get a mandate. 2019, we get a bigger mandate basis is performance. And that is because, look, what is the template that we have set? We have set a template that we want this country to go from 10th to 3rd position as far as the economy is concerned. We want to deliver social welfare to 80 crore people, whether it's ration, toilets, Ujjwala cylinders, so on and so forth. We want to build infrastructure at breakneck speed, which is 70 airports or double the number of highways. We want to take out 24 crore people out of poverty. Slogans were given. Garibi Hatao. We are actually doing it. And when all of this comes together, then I would say that the blessings of Ram, Lalla and Gita on us. And now let me explain Ram, Lalla and Gita before some people start frothing. The Ram, Lalla and Gita means G for growth, I for infrastructure, T for technology, A for Atmanirbhar Bharat, and Ram, Lalla means R for Rashtriya Suraksha. You can see that 2611, what was the response? And today, what is the response when a Uri happens or a Pulwama happens? Then we have A for Arthvyavastha, 10 to 3rd, L for leadership, L for Labharti, and the manner in which A for Atmanirbhar Bharat, where the defense exports have gone up to 16,000 crores. So it is purely on the basis of performance that this confidence is there in us.
No, that may be true, and that may be how the BJP feels, but I'm asking you a slightly different question. Why would you say this? Because ultimately, many would say yes, the third term is not so much in doubt, and of course our other panelists will possibly disagree with it. But why would you set a target of 400 par? Internally, what is that the messaging that the BJP wants to give?
Look, as far as targets are concerned, we always work on a scientific basis. Let me tell you the scientific basis of this target too. In 2019, there are 224 seats where we won with a 50% vote share. Over the last 5 years, despite the fact that we have been in service, we have been working consistently on 400 plus seats to take the vote share above 50%. So, even if an opportunistic alliance like Delhi, you have seen Aam Aadmi Party and Congress coming together, even if they come together, we are above 50% vote share. So they cannot hurt us politically. And therefore, there are over 400 plus seats where the NDA alliance is going to get above 50% vote. And then combined with that, one last line, is that we are going to be blessed by the Devi Shakti and Nari Shakti. Those who are talking about vanquishing Nari Shakti and Devi Shakti will be punished by them, and we will be rewarded by them.
So I'm hearing a new thing now. It's not just 400 par, it's also 400 par with 50% vote share on those 400 seats.
Look, we aim for the stars. We will reach on
You'll
the
reach the moon.
rooftop. Yeah.
Okay. Shama, I want to come to you. The one thing the BJP has very successfully done, they may not achieve 370, the NDA may not achieve 400. It is very, very difficult and almost unprecedented. But what they've done is almost broken the back, psychologically, would you say, of the opposition? Because no longer is this about whether Narendra Modi will get elected again. It's only about how and by how much.
Thank you for inviting me here. First and foremost, let's not take the people of India for a ride. Let's not take the people of India for granted. They have a brain. They know what is happening. So you come out and say, "Ab ke baar 400 par," and they're looking out and saying, "What is happening? This man is taking us for granted." The Bharatiya Janata Party is saying, they are saying it loud, that we have already won the election before the election is on. How dare? And I'm telling you, this is hazardous because the people of India do not like it. This is exactly what happened in 2004, the India Shining. Now let's look. He says 400 par. It's exactly like what you mentioned, Shivani, 200 par in West Bengal. They use money, muscle power, everything possible there. But what did they get? 77. And it is a psychological war on people, saying that, you know what, you're sitting on the fence, we are winning, so choose us. But it's not the truth. Now let's look at the numbers. He kept on saying some numbers, when I look at the numbers, last time the states which really, they had a 90% hit was Maharashtra, Bihar and Karnataka, They won basically 90% of the seats. Now, Maharashtra, they're going to go down. Bihar, the India alliance is going to do well. And Karnataka, we know that we will win around 15 to 16 seats for sure. So I fail to see where this is. UP and West Bengal, they had 60% hit. Now, where UP, they were better off in 2014. They went down in 2019. And there is a possibility they might go up. But West Bengal, they're going to go down. South, the Prime Minister is always in southern part of India. Kerala, 0. Tamil Nadu, 0. Andhra Pradesh, 0. So I don't know where they're going to get their seats, because that's going to be 0 again. There's not going to be. Let me finish. Let me. So what I'm trying to say is that the numbers don't add up here, what he says. The India alliance is going to do very well in Delhi. Like he said, 7 out of 7 was what they got. It's not going to be the same. Punjab, they are nowhere, as always. So there are many states like that where Northeast, the Manipur effect will be there. Assam, the CA has been put in effect. The Citizenship Amendment Act, the effect will be there. There, their seats will go down. Now, let me also come up to a point he said. He talked about how the development has happened after 2014. I hear words like Atmanirbhar Bharat. I hear Viksit Bharat. I hear Amrit Kal. These are the names which we hear. Then they say development in 2047. But when they came to power in 2014, farmers' income doubled in 2022. Not done. 5 trillion economy in 2022. Not done. Basically, we have to understand also that people like Arvind Subramaniam, who was the former economic advisor of the Prime Minister of India, says the GDP figures don't add up. So they can say a lot of things, but what is the ground reality is different. Recently, the RBI has said 2016, 1.6% of the GDP was the foreign direct investment. Right now, it's 0.6%. The foreign direct investment has gone down.
Okay.
These are not my figures. So what I'm trying to tell you is you can talk about figures, you can say things, but let's understand the Indian voter knows that the gas price from 424 during the UPA times has gone about 1,000. The petrol price from 70 has gone about 100. The diesel price, which was 55, has gone about 100. The Indian voter knows the employment level, which was there before 2014, has gone up to, unemployment level has gone up to 10%. The Indian voter knows that we are suffering, and we will not let this government continue with this sort of nonsense where they keep saying whatever they want. But we have Mengai, Berozgari, and of course, undeclared emergency.
All right. I was going to talk about the psychological effect. So let me come to Nalin with that. Is this overconfidence, Nalin? Or is this a realization that they can actually do better, a confidence, overconfidence or quiet confidence that the BJP has right now?
So I think this election is very different from 2004. The polity in 2004, when India Shining was mentioned, that was a very different kind of polity, where the BJP in general was just a little bit ahead of the Congress in previous the 10, 12 years before that.
And it was a coalition government of a different.
There was a different kind. There was a old BJP, which was a different kind of a political animal. You look at the current polity. Even in 2019, a lot of at this point in 2019, the contest looked far more equal, right? A lot of people thought that Rahul Gandhi would win that election. At this point in 2024, the contest is looking different. One of the reasons why it's looking different is because of the results in the assembly elections. And there, may I say that with the India alliance, had the seat sharing been done before the assembly elections, it might have been a different dynamic. The Congress, I think, waited too long for the assembly election results to come out, which kind of completely brought down its bargaining power with the allies, who started now looking at other things. You've seen what's happened with Mamata Banerjee in the with Trinamool Congress. Also, I think the BJP last time had 39.7% of the vote. Now, so the BJP is different in different parts of the country, but look at the strike rate. The BJP strike rate across India was 69.4%. In North India, it was 89.4%. In South, it was 33%. In West India, it was 92.7%. In East India, 41.3%, and in the Northeast, 70%. Now, compare that to the Congress, which was around 19% of vote share, roughly around that. And the Congress strike rate was 12.4%, which was, significantly lower than the BJP. In the highest strike rate the Congress had was in the South, which is 31.5%. Now, if you're talking about a 330 target or a 400 par target, the BJP will have to. Where is the headroom for the BJP? I don't think, if you look at all the polls, I don't think people are debating whether BJP is the result of the election. People are debating the extent of this, right? Now, and that's important. Yeah. And again, I do take the point, and you can't predict any election. No election is a foregone conclusion, for sure. That's a fair point. But let me say that in this election, where is the headroom for the BJP compared to last time? In the Hindi heartland, the BJP essentially maxed out. The headroom is in UP. In the West, it maxed out largely. The headroom is in the South, and there I think Andhra and Telangana are critical. The BJP won 4 seats in Telangana, nothing in Andhra last time. There, they are critical. Some green shoots in Kerala, perhaps. There is the BJP is going very hard at Tamil Nadu for some green shoots there. In Odisha, you are seeing a putative understanding with the BJD, and there is some headroom in the Northeast. So that's how the chessboard looks right now. And in terms of overconfidence or ambition, the question that you asked, let me say that if you look at the Narendra Modi template of politics, that's been the case in terms of very high ambition. From the beginning, this is a prime minister or a leader who first fought an election in 2001 when he became chief minister of Gujarat. He never fought an election individually before that. He has not lost an election since then. And you look at every successive election before this, whether it's Gujarat elections since then, you look at UP elections since 2014, you look at the Lok Sabha elections. All of these targets are what has been achieved. I think Shehzad mentioned UP after 37 years, Madhya Pradesh. All of these looked impossible before these elections. Before they were done. All of these broke the template of politics as we understood it in terms of traditional politics.
So you agree that we could see that we are on the cusp of a completely different Indian political scenario emerging if Narendra Modi was to achieve this?
I'm saying that this election is a very significant turning point in our history for a number of reasons. That the opposition is looking very fragmented. The BJP is clearly the leading pole of this polity. Now, what they can achieve in terms of seats, that's an open question because certain states are critical. Maharashtra is critical. What will happen in Maharashtra? What will happen in Andhra, Telangana, Tamil Nadu? Those are critical states. But what I'm saying is, if Narendra Modi wins a decisive mandate, as what many polls are predicting, it changes the template of politics for a long time to come, because 2014 was an anti-incumbency verdict. 2019 was a pro-incumbency verdict. 2024, if you get the verdict that is being predicted, then that cements a complete turn of the contours of the polity in the way that that Narendra Modi has redefined it, and the way that Nehru did in the first 15-20 years of our
Yes,
independence.
but is it even comparable to what Nehru did? Because that was, like I said, a very different time in Indian politics. The opposition wasn't what it is today. And of course, post-independence, those were different times. Then our overall polity and democracy today is much more vibrant than it was at that time. So if Narendra Modi manages this, a third consecutive term, and with the kind of mandate the BJP is hoping to achieve, it would indeed be historic in its own way. Sanjay Kumar, I want to come to you for your opening comments as well. Nalin did paint the picture about where the BJP needs to improve. 5 southern states, 129 seats. The BJP won only 29 last time. In Tamil Nadu, none. In Kerala, none. In Andhra, none. This time around, from those 29, how much more can they do for them to be able to breach that 370 mark or the 400 mark? Is that even possible in one election cycle for them to change their fortune so much?
Shivani, very difficult for me to say exactly how many seats BJP needs to reach 370. But my own sense is that this is a narrative which has been created by Prime Minister Modi. In my opinion, yes, BJP is going very strong. In my opinion, BJP is roughly or slightly over about the performance of 2019, but I don't see BJP reaching 370. But going back to your question, if BJP's target is 370, and if they even aims to reach at 370, they need to improve in the southern state. They need to win a large number of states in the southern state, because the party has already maxed in most of the North Indian states. So North Indian state, except for a couple of states where they can improve, which has already been discussed, like say UP or few other states. So a BJP would need to work very hard in the southern state. BJP is already doing that, but my own sense is that that's not going to be enough. In one cycle, I don't think this is an election.
So whatever vote share bump they might get, which let's say we can assume that they will, there is a different acceptance of the party today. They've seen Narendra Modi in power for 10 years now. It's no longer an unknown commodity, what the BJP at the center would be. You don't think that would essentially convert into that many seats for them in South India?
No, certainly if I go state by state, say Tamil Nadu, definitely I see BJP's vote share going up in all the southern states. No doubt about that. Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Telangana, Karnataka. But will this increase in vote result in a multiplier of seats? That's unlikely to happen. 1 or 2 seats here and there is the only possibility. And I'm saying it's a big if. Maybe in Kerala, 1 seat here and there, maybe. Kerala, Tamil Nadu, maybe 1 or 2 seats here and there. But that's not going to add up to taking BJP up to the level of 370.
Exactly. Shehzad? So pipe dream, it seems. Yes, it's great to target and it's great to set targets. Fair enough. You aim for the stars, you land on the moon, as you said. But you have to be realistic. Where are you going to get these seats from?
It's a little secret that Sanjay ji has just dropped his daughter off a 12th standard CBSE exam. So he's a hard father. He says that even if you get better than last time, I still don't give you the full marks. See, look, I'll tell you what.
But this is what has happened. You've set the expectation so high that if you get lower than 99% now, then it's going to be a problem.
We always want to...
Say something on this expectation.
Yeah.
I have a slightly different take. There's no harm in keeping target high.
Sure.
Even if your student, because he has taken the example of my daughter, even if she may not be very good at studies, but I won't tell her, keep your target low. I will tell her, keep your target very high. No harm in doing that.
Now I've got the father speaking, the pop speaking, not just the cephalogist. Now let me come to the larger point. The larger point is that, look, first of all, let's get this out of our head that the BJP is a party alien to the south part of this country. We have the maximum number of Lok Sabha seats as we speak. You may argue that it's from one state, so is the Congress from Kerala mostly. So therefore, and by the way, where's DMK in Telangana? Where is DMK in Puducherry? DMK in Andhra? Where is DMK in Karnataka? So we have a pan-south presence. We have a government in Puducherry. We have been in government in Karnataka. And we have a sizable presence in Telangana. We have a sizable alliance in Andhra now. We have a sizable presence better than the IUML in Kerala. Secondly, our agenda is, look, seats आएंगी, जाएंगी, party बनेगी, बिगड़ेंगी. We believe that just like Adi Shankaracharya took this entire country in one sutra, the North and South are one. They are not separate. Therefore, the Sengal got its place of prominence in the parliament. It was relegated to a walking stick. Therefore, Kashi Tamil Sangamam happened, and it was Parakram Maharaj who connected Shiv Kasi and Tin Kasi with Kashi. We have been on this not as a project of politics, but a project of social cohesion. There are people who are advocating for South to be made independent, an MP of the Congress party. That's another issue. The point that I'm trying to make is that did you expect, Shivani, you have been observing politics for such a long time, and I'm a great fan of your journalism. In 2019, if I would have told you, Shivani, that the BJP would have got 18 seats, you would have laughed at me. Nalin bhai, you would have laughed at me. If I would have told you that we would win Tripura twice, you would have laughed at me. If I would have told you we would win Assam twice, you would have laughed at me. 10 years ago, if I would have told father and cephalologist Sanjay ji that we will win Haryana twice, you would have laughed at me.
No, but I did
Now,
not. No, 1 second.
Now.
The reality is, I did not laugh at it. I don't laugh at
I'm
whatever
just-
the
I'm just
India
being
party
true
will
to
do.
you.
No, but my point is this.
Yeah.
There is no denying, Shehzad, that there is a certain level of confidence the Prime Minister enjoys. Nobody is denying that. I don't think even your ardent, your arch rivals will deny that. But is that enough for you to suddenly break through, quote unquote, the South
I was
wall?
just coming to that.
Yeah, the politics that you're mentioning of Kashi, Tamil, Sangamam, you're talking about the Sengol. Is that the politics that works in these states?
I was coming to exactly that. Forget everything else. Let me just tell you that I not only watch your show very carefully, I watch everything that goes in programming of CNN News 18. And CNN News 18, even before we had a tie-up with Ramaros today, it has given the BJP NDA 5 seats in Tamil Nadu.
Yes.
2 seats in Kerala.
It's a poll that has
Sweep
been
in
conducted.
Karnataka.
Yes.
Look, I am quoting you your figures. At least you will take them credibly. Others may not. And now, there are 7 phases of election, but there are 3 phases of meltdown. First, they'll blame opinion pollsters, then they'll blame EVMs, and then they'll blame Janta. So this 3-phase meltdown will also happen after 7 phases of elections. Having said that, look, the point is that nobody is expecting that we have offered a fresh template in the South. That is, what is the South template of politics? Family first, Sanatan ko gali do, Tushtikarana first, appeasement first, corruption first. Whether it's K. Kavita, whether it's the DMK, convicted people, etc. We are offering an Annamalai. I'm just giving you an example. Annamalai. Break from the normal traditional politics, somewhat like a figure like Modi.
Okay.
An inspirational figure. We are galvanizing the South with the new template of politics, and people are coming for that. In just 10 seconds, want to address some of the questions. Look, she says महंगाई है. I agree, महंगाई है. तो 6 रुपए आपने हिमाचल में क्यों बढ़ा दिए डीजल के? आप कम करवा देते हैं. आप कह रहे हैं व्हाट अबाउट द नौकरी का प्रॉमिस 1 लाख सरकारी जॉब्स वर प्रॉमिस्ड बाय प्रियंका वाड्रा. आई हैव द वीडियो queued, I can play it, but I don't want to embarrass some people beyond point. After that, they get form the government, and immediately Sukkuji says we can't give 1 lakh sarkari jobs. After that, I have quoted whatever we've done in the country last 10 years. Did you see one positive quote by Congress that we have done this, we have transformed this? No, this BJP has done wrong, that BJP has done wrong. This negativity, this nakaratmakta, people don't want it. People are tired and fed up, and then you start abusing. You abuse the Varanasi youth, you abuse Shakti, you abuse Sanatan.
Okay.
This has to stop.
No, but Nalin, you wanted to come in. Interesting point he's making that there's a different template in South now. We haven't had that before. We didn't have a legitimate, counter to, let's say, Dravidian politics in the past. We didn't have, let's say, a counter in Kerala very strongly in the past. So who knows? Maybe people want this alternative.
So, I think I agree with Sanjay here that look, these things take time, but I would say that in Tamil Nadu in particular, look at, I think you mentioned the Prime Minister spending a lot of time in Tamil Nadu. Look at the Sengol, look at the whole optics around the Ram Mandir, around the Ram Lalla, around that. See, the point is this. Tamil Nadu politics for the longest time has not had a serious national party since the 1960s. The Congress has always been a bit place in 1967 in that state. What the BJP is basically doing is that at a time, with most of the regional satraps, they are towards the winter of their lives. I mean, the last 20, 30 years, you look at state after state after state, it's been dominated by regional satraps. All of them are, whether it's Badals in Punjab, whether it is Naveen Patnaik in Odisha, Mamata Banerjee, slightly differently, but ADMK, DMK.
DRS.
So all of them now, this has now had 15, 20 years, you're nearing the end of that cycle. You look at in Tamil Nadu, there is a vacuum in Tamil Nadu politics.
Is the second or third generation not
No,
appearing as attractive?
So DMK right now is stable, even though it's the dynasty that controls it. But ADMK is in flux. There is an anti-DMK vote in Tamil Nadu, and the matrix of that politics has always been Dravidian politics. It's always been post-Periyar politics. The BJP is trying to create a new template of politics. There is green shoots for that. Now, whether it takes 10 years, 15 years, 8 years, that we will see.
Okay.
But there is clearly an alternative that they're trying to build as a different counter narrative.
Yeah, so alternative is being built, and who knows, the public might be keen to, choose an alternative. Look what happened in Delhi, where Arvind Kejriwal came from. It was an alternative, people chose, and then ultimately stuck with it, at least have for the last 10 years. Shama, I want to come to you. The Prime Minister was speaking today in one of his rallies in South, I think in Palakkad, in the state that you come from. He said, why 400 par? Or he said this in Karnataka. So he's telling the voter, why are we saying 400 par? He's saying 400 par is for a Viksit Bharat. 400 par is for, action against corruption. On the other side, the INDA alliance says, vote for us or don't vote for the BJP to save the constitution. Now, some would argue your narrative is a little bit thakawa. We've heard this for the last 10 years, save constitution, save democracy. Here's the Prime Minister talking about a Viksit Bharat. His idea or narrative is more attractive.
Yeah, Viksit Bharat, Amrit Kal, I don't know what all names I've heard. You can keep hearing these names. His own Member of Parliament, Anand Kumar Hegde, it's not ours, said that we want 400 par because we need to change the Constitution of India. It is not our Congress party's words. You have to understand, it comes from them. You have to get that. Now, I just want to say a couple of things. He mentioned Priyanka Gandhi promising 1 lakh jobs. Yeah, the Prime Minister of India promised 2 crore jobs. Have we got that? Yes, we have not got the 2 crore jobs. I'm sorry to say it is not. We haven't got the 2 crore jobs. The Parliament... I did not interrupt.
Okay, go ahead.
This is the thing that I'm going to leave the hall.
No, go ahead.
Shivani,
I'll give you
I
a
don't
time.
want to. I did not interrupt. 2 crore jobs, it has not been done. The Parliament itself, in its reply, said, we have provided 7 lakh jobs. This is not from me, this is the Parliament's reply. All right. Now he talks about corruption in the South. Who is Suvindu Adhikari? What is this corruption? We all know. Sharada, Narada. What about Himanda Biswa Sarma? Louise Burgess scam. So we know enough and more people in that party who have Yedurappa went to jail for corruption. Now POSCO investigation. So this is the South template they want to bring about in the South. Yedurappa, they said Karnataka is the state they won. Now there's a POSCO investigation happening on Mr. Yedurappa. So this is the template they would like to bring. Then he says about the Prime Minister how when he promises something he does. Yesterday, the Prime Minister of India said, I sacrifice my life for my mothers and sisters. I started to laugh because there were wrestlers who were protesting, telling the Prime Minister of India that Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh molested us. The Prime Minister did not even speak to them. I remember during Nirbhaya's time, when there was an issue, Manmohan Singh ji and Sonia ji called the protesters to their house, spoke to them, asked them, what is the problem? How do we solve it? And that's when we got the Nirbhaya Act. But what is happening here? The Prime Minister of India says something from the ramparts of the Red Fort. The Prime Minister says yesterday he gives a bhashan about protecting women. But he has done nothing for the wrestlers who are begging him. These are world famous. All over the world they have seen this. Did he ask Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh to step down? No. Has he visited Manipur where women have been paraded naked? They have been raped? They have lost their lives? No. Then why should the people of India trust the Prime Minister of India? That's my question today. You can say a lot of things, but you cannot. You have to walk the talk. The other thing, there is huge anti-incumbency. I'll tell you why. Every Rajya Sabha member or minister is being asked to fight election because they know there is a problem here. They are worried inside. They are nervous. Why are they running behind allies? MNS. They want MNS. ADIMK said we don't want to, still begging them. BJD, which is they are the principal opposition in Odisha. Why are they having the alliance with BJD? Because they're frightened. They would not even get the 302. They're talking about 370, 400 par. So they are running behind alliance partners, begging them please. So finally PMK has agreed in Tamil Nadu. So this is the situation which we are seeing. And Kerala is the state I come from. She said there is they're talking in, see, Kerala has nearly 50% minorities. And has never had a riot. Let me tell you that. They do not want a riot. They remember that in 2020, when President Trump was visiting India, the President of the United States of America, there was a riot happening here. The army should have been called in. But Mr. Amit Shah did not want to. The riot went on for 3 days. They don't want that sort of thing. They feel that if they get the Bharatiya Janata Party in Kerala, there would be riots because there's a huge minority. And one last thing. He said that 25 crore people have been taken out of poverty. I don't know where the figures come out. But from 2004 to 14, Oxfam and the United Nations said 27 crore people have been taken out of poverty in India. These are figures coming, proper figures. There are data. Nowadays, we do not have data. Let's also, one last point. He talks about a free and fair election. Then I want to ask him, why did the Prime Minister or the Cabinet of this present dispensation, the Supreme Court said the Chief Justice should be involved in selecting the Election Commission, the Chief Justice of India, the Leader of Opposition, and the Prime Minister. Now the Cabinet passed a bill, an ordinance, and removed the Chief Justice and put a Cabinet Minister. All right. So that itself shows the election wanted to be pliable. Then suddenly an Election Commission resigns. They get 2 people they want. And they want one nation, one poll. But we have 7 phases now. They can't even hold an election in 4 phases or 3 phases.
Lots of points you've raised. I want him to be able to respond. Can you first respond to the question he talked, to what he talked about the alliances? Why are you chasing alliance partners or still wanting to bring everybody under your umbrella if you're so confident? That's a legitimate question.
On a lighter note, I thought that this kind of meltdown will be seen on 4th June, but it has already started. But anyways, let me add.
It's the truth.
Madam, your truth, people have seen it twice over. Anyways, let me now come. Why are we chasing alliances? Shivani ji, I'll give you a personal example. In Punjab, we had an alliance with Akalis for a very long period of time. As a party, it curtailed our growth because we were restricted to very few areas, and we never even got proper share in the governments of those alliance parties, governments. Yet we did the alliance not for political reason. We did it so that the Hindu-Sikh solidarity could be maintained. The BJP approaches country and this entire thing not from political perspective, but it approaches it from a national interest perspective. If we are doing alliances because we are scared, then Shivani, they are so takatwar, they are going to win the election. डीएमके को ये कहते थे राजीव गांधी के हत्यारे उनके साथ अलायंस, आम आदमी पार्टी के साथ कभी हाथ नहीं मिलाएंगे, आम आदमी पार्टी से बच्चों की सौगंध खाता हूं, कभी अलायंस नहीं करूंगा. पंजाब में आम आदमी पार्टी से एक थी, कांग्रेस से बेईमान पार्टी. बंगाल में दीदी बोलती है कि दिस पार्टी विल नॉट गेट 40 सीट्स, उनके साथ केंद्र में अलायंस. केरला में वेयर शी कम्स फ्रॉम, द लीडर ऑफ ऑपोजिशन सतीशन जी हैज जस्ट yesterday accused Vijayan ji of all kinds of things, and Sudhakaran ji, when he was put in jail, he said that Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan is the most dictatorial person. They have called him coward and psychopath. ये केरल में कुश्ती करते और दिल्ली में दोस्ती करते हैं. महाराष्ट्र में उद्धव सेना के साथ सेक्युलरिज्म बचा रहे हैं. The same Uddhav Sena they accused of destroying the Babri. In Kerala they have alliance with IUML, secular. In Bengal they have alliance with ISF, Furfura Sharif, who said wanted to eliminate Hindus. वाह गजब का है. आप कहा है अपने जानी दुश्मन से दोस्ती कर रहे हैं. आप अकेले लड़िए, अमेठी में कम से कम लड़ लीजिए. अमेठी में स्मृति ईरानी है, कौन है आपका कैंडिडेट? वहां पर तो सीट शेयरिंग हो गया है ना चिरकुट पार्टी से, मतलब समाजवादी पार्टी से, जिसको आप चिरकुट छुटवैया कहते हैं. तो आप बताइए अमेठी से कैंडिडेट कौन है? हम डरे हुए. अब आते हैं बाकी के सवालों पर.
You wanted to respond on the employment numbers. Very quickly, I have to go to others as well. Yeah.
Madam, 1 second. I will give you the exact data. She obviously has her faith in Oxfam. I will give you data of this country. EPFO. Yeah? You, madam, you believe anything, but you won't believe IMF then. IMF, where Manmohan Singh worked, and he says that, IMF says that fastest growing economy and we will contribute 16%. That she won't believe. She will believe Oxfam. So, theek hai. Anyways, that's a comment on Manmohan Singh.
Employment.
Coming on employment. EPFO is something that the employer and the employee both contribute to. So this data can never be wrong. When they left government, there were 11 crore EPFO subscribers. Today, there are 27 crore EPFO subscribers. Majority of them in the age group of 18 to 25, first-time jobs. 16 crore jobs. Please keep writing. Secondly, when you have a situation of LFPR, the labor force participation rate, it was below 35 when UPA left. Today it is above 56. Worker population ratio, all identifiable data. When they left, it was below 45. Today it is above 55. Thirdly, NSO has given the unemployment rate as the lowest in the last 7 years, 3.1%. But forget that. I'll tell you something physically. They used to construct highways at the rate of 11 kilometers per day. Today it is 37 kilometers per day. Who is constructing this extra 26 kilometers? People from Rome. When 70 airports have been constructed in the last 10 years, as opposed to 70 airports in 70 years, who has constructed it? People from Pakistan. When you have 5 metros, now you have 20 metro stations. Who has constructed these metro stations?
Okay.
So now, just final point. But here is something I did not want to do, but I will do it now. Please now.
जो सरकारी नौकरियां हैं, जो पद हैं, वो भरे जाएंगे और वो नौकरियां मिलेंगी आपको।
आप कह रहे हैं कि गवर्नमेंट जॉब्स का जो प्रॉमिस था आपका, उस पे सरकार ने, हमारी गवर्नमेंट जॉब का ये प्रॉमिस नहीं था, हमारा था कि हम 1 लाख रोजगार हर साल पैदा करेंगे।
I've seen this.
सरकारी जॉब देने का प्रॉमिस था। हिमाचल को कितनी महिलाओं को 1500 रुपए दिया? बता दीजिए आंकड़े के साथ।
Okay.
कितने महिलाओं को आपने 300 रुपए यूनिट फ्री करके दिया? बता दीजिए आंकड़े के
Limited
साथ।
time. Let's be fair. There have been promises made by all parties in
I have
campaigns that
fulfilled my
have
promise
not
and
been
they have
always
declared.
kept. That have not been always kept. I have limited time. Sanjay ji, I want to come to you on 2 things. The narrative of anti-dynasty, dynastic politics and anti-corruption. These are 2 very strong themes on which the Prime Minister speaks. How resonant are these themes across India, but let's say particularly in South India? Corruption and dynasty.
Why only South India? I think when Prime Minister accuses Congress party and various regional parties of these 2 things, if I look at from people's point of view, it resonates with the people of India. They look at various regional parties, whether it is, I would refrain from naming the parties, but you can keep naming, looking at the various regional parties which are in the government or out of government in different states, and you will get a sense that most of the regional parties have a very strong family base. And that's true of the Congress. So when Prime Minister Modi says these are the parties which are family-based parties, these are the parties which have indulged in various corrupt practices, I think these are the 2 things which gives strength to BJP. It gives strength to Prime Minister Modi, and that is why these 2 issues are being picked up by Prime Minister Modi
does want to
again
get
and
rid
again.
of corruption and dynastic politics.
I don't think that. See, who would say that I would love to live in a country or a state which is corrupt? So yes, people expect that it should
will
be,
get better as time goes
it
on.
will get better, but this is not that if BJP is in power, people get the believe or people believe that it's corruption free.
It's absolutely corruption.
That's also not
Particularly,
true.
let's say in Karnataka recently, they faced a lot of questions as well. I've run out of time. I want to come to all of our guests for 30 seconds each, and I'll start with Nalin. 400 par, possibility or piped dream?
400 par is
Your mic.
the numbers. The target of 400, I think, is a very difficult one. Is the BJP in pole position right now? Yes. What is the number it will get? We have to wait and see.
You'll stick your neck out or no? Say yes or no. Possibility or piped dream?
Very difficult.
Very difficult. Shama?
So I just want to say is that he said about alliance partners with others. They have also been alliance with PDP, JDU, where he says, where he criticized Nitish Kumar, the Prime Minister of India, and recently the JJP, which fought the election. When they fought the election, they criticized and Dushyant
Even
Singh.
TDP has come back
Yeah,
now.
so
So
what
we
I
can go
say,
on.
he can't keep saying about these things.
But final
no,
30
last
seconds,
minute,
sir.
about the highways. CAG flagged. CAG says inflation of road construction costs. It flagged it in that, he says we are building, of course, you're making money. Also, in the Ayushman Bharat, 1 mobile number for multiple people. Corruption, that is not by me, not the Congress party, the CAG. We have to understand where it comes from.
Okay.
So can't point fingers. And what Priyanka Gandhi spoke has been promised. These jobs have been done. Unlike Narendra Modi, 2 crore
they've
jobs,
done it, these jobs haven't been done.
15 lakh, 7 lakh. Where is a 2 crore job? Can you tell me that? Can you show me that?
but let's
The
be
unemployment is 10%. All right. So he can't keep coming and saying
Okay,
that
okay. I've limited time.
his figures are wrong. So don't point fingers at us. And then he comes and talks about IUML. IUML is a secular party. I'm from Kerala. So don't point fingers at the IUML also. So there is no issue. So what I believe, my last point is that the people of India, don't take them for a ride. There is no 400 par. There is no 300 par also this time.
No
It is
300
going to be the India Alliance winning this election because we are bringing about issues what the people are facing. 30 lakh government jobs are out there. Why is the PM not filling it up?
Sanjay Kumar, piped dream or a possibility 400 par? As a psephologist, do you think this is possible in India again?
No, possible to kuch bhi hai, but very, very difficult in 2024.
Okay. So I'll leave the last word to Shehzad because this is the target. No, this is the target that his party has set. So
Friends, 50 years ago, when my party had no stake, it said that UCC hum लाएंगे, we have started. We said CA लाएंगे, we have done it. 370 हटाएंगे, हमने किया. राम मंदिर बनाएंगे, हमने किया. नारी शक्ति को नारी शक्ति वंदन अधिनियम से ताकत देंगे, हमने किया. और ये हमारे एक प्रधानमंत्री है, उसका कोई परिवार नहीं. ये चाहते हैं सोनिया जी का परिवार आगे बढ़े, लालू जी का परिवार आगे बढ़े, मुलायम का परिवार आगे बढ़े. हम चाहते हैं आपका परिवार आगे बढ़े. मोदी जी का कोई बेटा बेटी नहीं है. ये सब अपने बेटा बेटी को सेट करने में आपको अपसेट कर रहे हैं. हम देश के बच्चों को सेट करेंगे, ये अपने बच्चों को सेट करेंगे.
400 पार होगा या नहीं होगा? मैं वो
जब
मुझे
देश की, मैं आपको बताऊं एक वाक्य में,
very
आप बोलते रहिए, पर सुनने को कोई तैयार नहीं है. आप बोलते रहिए. ऐसा है कि जब देश की प्रभु शक्ति, देवी शक्ति और नारी शक्ति जिसको एक गाली देते हैं वो हमारे साथ है, तो 400 पार भी होगा. आप देखते रहिए.
RTI, RTE, Food Security Act,
बोलते रहिए,
Indian US nuclear civil deal, Manrega. What did they get? Nothing. This is what we have got.
All right. I do have to thank all of our panelists on that note. If we can have a small round of applause with the audiences here. And a big thanks to our guests for joining us. Shehzad, Nalin, Shama and Sanjay ji. Thanks a lot for joining us. And I hope you enjoyed this session. I'm really sorry, sir, but we have our next guest, next panelist waiting. Thank you so much. We'll try and incorporate it in our next one.
can you just take your... Yes.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes.
It's working now. Yeah.
Hello, hello,
It stays on?
hello.
It stays on?
Yes, ma'am. Hello, hello.
Hello. Hello, hello. Hello, hello.
Hello? Hello? Yeah, it's good.
Viewers, welcome to yet another edition. Okay. Viewers, welcome to yet another session of the Rising Bharat Summit presented by TV18. We have with us three eminent guests, and we're going to talk about a subject that informs us pretty much on a daily basis, which is our past, our history, because it determines our present and, of course, will direct our tomorrow. Now, it is said about history that the past is inextricably linked with our present and feeds into our future. Unfortunately, there has been a massive conversation around the nature of our past that we have given to ourselves. Nehru once said, and he talked about the tryst with destiny, but many people said that how can a nation arrive at its destiny when it doesn't know where it began from? And many people say that India has a contrived sense of history. It is influenced by a deep-seated colonial hangover. In fact, some people say it was written by our colonizers for us. So let us ask, as we imagine or reimagine our Bharatiyata, whether Bharat has been unshackled from its colonial past and carved its own identity and space in the collective psyche. And therefore, we are going to talk with Uday Mahurkar, author of Veer Savarkar and former Central Information Commissioner, Dr. Anuradha Chaudhary, IKS, Sanskrit scholar, coordinator for the Indian Knowledge Systems, or IKS division, and Shantanu Gupta, needs no introduction, author and dear friend. And let us deep dive the topic, history and culture, colonial or not. So let me begin with you first, ma'am. Doctor, many people believe that our history was written by custodians really of a British projection of who we should be, what our idea of India should be, and the origins that it should track and trace. Do you believe this to be true?
So the thing is that our history is written by those who've gone through a certain system of education. At the end of the day, there has been a certain inculcation of a certain worldview that has been driven through a system of education. And this system of education, it becomes very important for us to understand, has been designed very strategically by Macaulay in 1835. So history books that we get today have at least almost 100 years, at least a century of inculcation of brainwashing in a particular direction has happened. And with that brainwashing, Macaulay intended to inform his audience or inform the students that they need to be in taste, opinions and morals completely British. So they were looking to make white Indian, brown Indians. So brown outside but white in thought. So this is the strategy that underlay the entire education policy, and therefore with the education that was given, which was primarily Western in content and thought and all those ways, the students who went through it and who later became our historians, our educators, all of that, they didn't even realize that what they were talking about is primarily coming from a very different source than looking at ourselves through our own lenses. And therefore, it would be very right to say that those who are writing these books were completely disconnected
from the mindset, from the psyche of Bharatiyata. And I guess that is one important thing. And even post-independence, there was no significant attempt made in trying to look back and understand what were the essential features of the Bharatiya Manas. As Dharampalji famously talks about this Bharatiya Manas. What was this Bharatiya thinking? What is the Bharatiya thought? What were the value systems that underlay the entire way in which we looked at ourselves, the whole concept of itihasa versus history? There's a lot to, define and understand when we talk of itihasa versus history in itself. And Bharata is determined or has been shaped by its itihasa. India post-1947 has been shaped by history. And the writers of each, the sources from which they came, played an important role again in shaping and molding the psyche of the nation as it follows from there.
Very interesting, because Mr. Mahurkar, the subject of your, one can say, scholarship, Veer Savarkar, his history was shaped by those that wrote history, not itihas. And you must have come across the manner in which he was introduced to Indian audiences, not just in schools and colleges, etc., but also, of course, in the wider public discourse. That was really a colonial capture of his legacy.
Before I come to your subject, Rahul, let us look at how things shaped. First, the colonizers wrote our history, and from there, the leftist historians took over, So it was a double whammy, in one sense. Correct? Now, for example, R.C. Mazumdar, the great historian, in his History of Bengal, he cites one letter by acting governor of West Bengal in 1956, P.V. Chakravarti. Now, that was the year when Italy, who gave us freedom, came as a common citizen to India and stayed with him in Calcutta. Chakravarti was a very inquisitive person, So he asked him, there was no pressure which Congress could build over the last 5 years. Then what was the, why did you give us freedom in that case? After 1942, there was no such pressure on you. After the Quit India movement, So he avoided giving a direct reply. So he pressed again. He said, look here. He cited Netaji Bose's struggle. Although INA had, by 1945, INA was no more. Correct? So he cited INA. Then he said the soldiers, Indian soldiers played the biggest role in the Second World War, in the victory of the Allies. He said they after the World War got over, they were saying, look here, now we have done your job, you leave this country. And third was the Navy mutiny, which started from Mumbai port and spread to about 20 ports. This was in 1946. He said these were the three main reasons which convinced us that the time has come for us to leave this country. Then he asked him, what was the role of Gandhiji and Congress? So he twisted his lips. This is what he says, Chakravarti, and he said, minimal. You get my point? So, history was played with after independence. R.C. Mazumdar, Jadunath Sarkar, who were dispassionate historians, they were sidelined. Unfortunately, this work was done under the eyes of the first Education Minister of India, which is Maulana Abul Kalam Azad. He stands, he has to answer many things on this count. Correct? With Savarkar, what happened? Savarkar is the true symbol of India's unity and integrity. We have proved in our book, me and my co-author Chirayu Pandit, that Savarkar tried his best to prevent partition. And he predicted partition in 1937, saying that if Congress continues with its policy of Muslim appeasement at the cost of Hindu rights, it will whet the appetite of Jinnah. And we could see Pakistan coming, Pakistan word was coined in 1932 by Rahmat Ali Chaudhry. It was already in public domain. Correct? So, why Savarkar's history was played with or tempered with? Savarkar is the biggest symbol of India's unity and integrity. Now, if his thought process, which I call his ideology, nation first ideology in true sense, unalloyed nationalism, if it spreads in the youth of this country, then those who survive on divided India, Vibhajit Bharat, as I say in Hindi, they'll have to close their shop, whether they are parties, leftist historians, So that is the reason why Savarkar was targeted and maligned, and a smear campaign was launched against him, and it is going on even today. So that is the main reason. So history, I think the biggest casualty in the first 60 years of this country after independence was history. Because it is from history you draw a future roadmap. And these leftists, pan-Islamists, who are operating from within the Congress, these people had joined hands. And their idea was to blur our historical vision, so that we never realize our true potential. You see, I call today's last 10 years as an age of national reawakening. You see, the foundation was laid by Vivekanand, Sri Aurobindo, my guru Swami Pranavananji, founder of Bharat Seva Ashram Sangh, Dayan Saraswati. They had laid the foundation. But Gandhiji's murder gave an opportunity to this entire lot to, in one sense, to lay the foundation of a very false nationalist thinking. There cannot be a unity. India cannot unite if Hindus and Muslims are not united. Now, we don't want
so
that
on
Muslims
this
should
point,
not be...
when I was, and when I came to you for an interview with regards to writing my own book, I came across a circular that was issued by the Education Ministry in those days on how to approach writing of our history for our textbooks. And it was an interesting one because they said that we must selectively highlight our history to suggest that there was extreme conviviality between communities. So I don't know if you know about this, but the Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, I think Mr. Gupta, you might be able to tell us, there was actually an official directive given to historians to create this sense of Ganga Jamna Tehzeeb, which did not allow Hindus to interrogate their
The
past.
Islamist movement has flowered in this. The radical Islamic movement has flowered because of this.
So these guidelines were
Had we
circulated.
treated Muslims differently, had we dealt with the radicals differently, taken the moderates along with us, then the story would have been different.
Story would have been different. Let me bring in Shantanu Gupta because, Mr. Gupta, the other problem, of course, is that you lurch from one extreme to the other. Now, there have been attempts in the recent past to rewrite what we think are parts of history that were, to begin with, misrepresented. And we see that now, I mean, if you literally, when it hits the street, then it turns to renaming roads, cities. Do you think that is also desirable? Because then you sort of are open to the charge that you are omitting references to our Islamic past or even a colonial past. The British were here and, you're sort of papering over their names, etc. So would that not also present a skewed sense of our origins, our itihas?
Yeah. Rahul, to my understanding, the roads and the name of the cities and the name of the buildings are not documentation place where you document your history, right? If you go to Europe, right, Hitler is a big history of Europe. Why his name is not there all over Europe? In fact, denying Holocaust is a crime in almost 18 countries. But denying the crimes by Aurangzeb is not a crime in this country. Aurangzeb Road existed for 70 years and Narendra Modi has to come in a place where a lot of Sikhs live, and we know that what Aurangzeb done with Sikhs particularly, right, and many other communities. उनके एक फरमान में लिखा था, one of the Aurangzeb farman says that when I sit on a horse or when I sit on an elephant, I should not see any temple. So that's why you see in Delhi and north of India, there is no temple which is like big enough, right? So So my first point is roads is not documentation of history, and the names of the roads got changed by Nehru also. So King Street or a Queen Street became Rajpath or Janpath because Anglo-Indians were not a voter. Nehru's history was all guided by voters. If Muslim would have been a 1%, 2%, I think then Nehru's eye towards all of this would have been very different. His history point of view, or Anglo-Indians would have been some 10, 15%. Still we will be walking on King Street and Queen Street. And George V statue was there in the canopy in front of India Gate till early 60s. Jansang has to do Andolan for that. Can you imagine that? The colonial rule is gone. And George V statue is there, right there, and all the celebrations are happening there. And now Narendra Modi comes, and the canopy was empty all this while. And Narendra Modi has to become the Prime Minister to put Subhash Chandra Bose statue there, right? So these names from Faizabad to Ayodhya, from Allahabad to Prayagraj, these are not renaming of names. And renaming is happening in the United States of America and Europe also today. These are going back to the original name. हम लोग कभी नहीं कहते इलाहाबाद का कुंभ है. We always say Prayag का कुंभ.
No, but in doing
Right?
so, I'm just playing the devil's advocate. In doing so, aren't we just sort of deciding that we will omit it? Certain...
No, why?
I'll just say one point. I come to News 18 studio, right?
No, my question is that should not our children know that there were Mughal emperors or there were Khiljis or
So that's
whatever it is?
Similar, I gave you example. Children should know that Hitler existed. He killed a large number of huge race. I come to News 18 studio. I vandalize whole studio. And you, tomorrow onwards, you start calling News 18 studio Shantanu studio. That's not done. You'll give me to police, right? So that's not a history to preserve. Roads are not for documentation keeping.
I understand your point, Why can't we name these roads, which are named after Lodhi, Tughlaq, Why can't we name them after patriotic Muslims? We have had a Mahavir Chakra Brigadier Usman, who laid down his life against Pakistan in the 1948 war. We got Havaldar Hamid. We got Ibrahim Khan Gardi, who fought for the Marathas in the Third Battle of Panipat and remained loyal. Why can't we name them these roads after them? That is a solution, good solution.
Yeah, one thing is that I think the naming of anything is to remind people of the greatness of the heroes that their country has produced or the nation has produced. That I think is the salient thought behind the naming of anything. Now, would you name any place behind the so-called, at least the perceived invaders of a country? It doesn't happen like that. Or, the perceived persecutors of the majority community. It just is a very practical decision where you say that, are we whom are we honoring? Because it's an honor. Whatever you name is an honoring of that person. So why would we honor whatever we honor? Anandji always talks of this case of the Bhaktiar station that is there in Nalanda, in that place, where he's saying that Nalanda was destroyed. I mean, an institution as hoary and as phenomenal as Nalanda was destroyed by Bhaktiar Khilji, and that also because a Vaidya cured him. I mean, this degree of ingratitude or ungratefulness is something that we have honored by naming a station after him. It absolutely is ridiculous in terms of how we remember who we are. And I think that is what should be the question. Who are we and what should we remember and why? So clarity around that, and because I'm also part of the writing of books and all of that, but certain discussions that have come up there are very balanced, if I may say so, because there is a presentation that we are trying to sideline certain parts of history, but the point is that if you've had rules of, let's say, the Cholas and the Pandyas going into 800, 900 years, and they find just a mention in one quarter, and whereas some other kingdoms that might have been smaller, but which ruled the roost in terms of the focus that they got by earlier historians, they suddenly occupy a chunk of your history books, or even the British history. Why does an Indian kid need to know the lineage of British kings and all? So, but there have been so many valiant kings who have done phenomenal, benefits for society, who have put in institutions, who have established structures as fabulous as the Brihadishwara temple. You just Rani Ki Vav, we know nothing of those things.
That, there has to be parity, etc., etc. But Mr. Mahurkar, let's look at Tipu Sultan. Now, roughly you come from that part of the country where
my ancestor had fought against Tipu Sultan.
There you go.
The Battle of Badami Fort.
Because you had mentioned, that's why I brought him into the conversation at one time. So, for a lot of people, Tipu was not exactly only a desecrator. He was also a creator. So, But there is obviously a movement to sort of delegitimize Tipu's celebrations or his Jayanti, etc. Now, how do we
It's a very good question, because I have read in great detail about Tipu Sultan and from very authentic sources. Tipu was a religious fanatic in the first 8 years of his rule. And he was worse than Aurangzeb. The way he dishonored Hindu women in Kerala and South Karnataka.
Ji.
I mean, you don't find it in the case of Aurangzeb. He's known as the desecrator of temples, correct? But then what happened? Marathas, the British, and Nizam, who used to hate Tipu, they all joined hands. And he was cornered. There was a time he thought that he needs the support of Hindus. And suddenly there was a change in him because of this political reasons, And he in one particular sad incident, Marathas desecrated the Sringeri Mutt. It is said it was done by the Pindaris, who were part of the stragglers with the Maratha army, whatever. So that was seized as an opportunity by him. He restored that monastery. And he was moving the world upside down to please Hindus. But it was a political way. It was not like Akbar. Akbar was a genuine convert to moderate ideas, I think so, after 1570. So it was a different case. So his last 8 years are different. But that is driven by political urge and political needs.
Okay,
It's a
so
small thing. It's almost sounding like Rahul Gandhi visiting temples now. The Tipu's you tell.
Let me ask you, Mr. Gupta, the fundamental thing
But
is...
he should be seen as a fanatic.
Okay.
On the whole.
See, again, which era of Tipu should we actually focus the lens on? Now that, again, becomes a subject of debate. And if you were to wear an ideological lens, then you would say, no, I only want to showcase him as a desecrator.
I'm making a basic, I've given an example of Akbar. Akbar was a genuine convert to, it's a long debate, we can go into that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, as I'm saying, how does
he was
one...
not a genuine convert.
So
His conversion was brought about by political needs.
Okay, so let me ask Mr. Gupta, look, all human beings react to, especially those in power, react to how they see the situation around them unfold. And sometimes the circumstance dictates a person in authority or power, his action. And we are always confronted by these choices. Now, my question is, how do we ensure that history is not filtered by your biases, that it doesn't become a sort of vehicle for conveying your biases? How do we evolve a sense of complete objectivity where one dogma is not sort of replacing another dogma?
I will also reply after him.
Okay.
Good question.
I think in the panel, all of us have already expressed that from last 60, 70 years, how history was written. Certain kind of historians were published and certain kind of historians were not even published. They're not even space in NCRTs to textbooks to UGCs or whichever. Even the private publishers never published them, right? From last 10 years, we saw the market for them. And then someone like Uday Markar or Shantanu Gupta or Sai Deepak started getting published, right? So that's one part that published both the people. Both the side of people. Answer of a book is a book. Answer for a movie is a movie. Answer for a TV debate is a TV debate, right? You have all kind of panelists. So
yes.
I think that's one way that you are presenting every kind of view.
But in a more formal setting, in student syllabi, etc., how do we do that? How do we disengage from...
I fully agree with you.
Yeah.
That there has to be complete objectivity as far as history is concerned.
Yeah.
But then for that, the nation has to come over this particular trait of blindly worshipping their heroes,
Okay.
You need to examine every
How do we
hero.
insulate the process?
So, for example, now in the process of rewriting of the textbooks and all, one of the attempts that is being made is a very genuine attempt to say that history has recorded both sides of the story. So even, let's say, the Mughals have had significant positive contributions to make, while on the other side they have also created a lot of havoc and they've destroyed a lot of temples. They've done many other things. So the attempt currently is to present both facts. Let us not just highlight one and just denigrate completely everything else, or just, showcase one aspect of, let's say, the Hindu roots. But what is required at the moment is to try and present everything.
With caveats.
With caveats. And the idea also is to allow the students, because one significant difference in today's generation is that they have exposure. They have exposure to a lot more. They're not only limited to learning history from what is taught by the history teacher. There are just so many different sources available for an individual to get access to what really happened. And because of that, as Udit was saying, there is also a lot more reawakening of who we were and why we were suppressed in terms of our identity for so long. So what we're attempting right now is to make facts available and let our population have the discretion, the viveka, to understand why certain decisions are being made and why certain decisions are not being made. So
This is a wonderful endeavor, and I hope it succeeds. And look at us, 77 years into our freedom, we are trying to now reclaim our history by saving ourselves from a past that was not represented in a manner that was objective. I leave it at this. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.